Okay, maybe we'll get going. Thank you for everybody that showed up here and for the people online. If you're here, hopefully you've got your sandwich and feel free to eat there. If you're online, you can mute your audio and turn off your video until the Q&A at the end. You can also post to the chat question. Handouts for the meeting are out on the club website in the past meeting files. Meeting format, at least for the people here, is to eat your sub. Big thank you to Paula for ordering the subs and to Chuck for getting the water there. So thank you very much there. The agenda will cover club status stuff first, and then we'll get to our main topic. Future meeting, there is a MACSIG coming up this, or not this Friday, a week from Friday, April 25th. And if you do have an iPad or an iPhone or a Mac, there's usually good discussion there within the group there. So you're welcome to join that too. You just have to let Mike know and he'll add you to his mailing list of the announcements and the link. Our next question and answer is May 6th. So if you do have a question or you're welcome to post it there. Our next general meeting is going to be May 21st, and we'll cover scams and cyber threats 3. So it'll be an update to a number of the scams and threats and how to protect yourself. Our officers, we've got Jim as our president over there. We've got Linda and back there. She's our vice president. Paul is our membership secretary. Paula currently is our treasurer. And Paula said we could make the announcement. Paula's going to be retiring the end of May from 3M. No, we have to go boo. We have to go boo because that means the treasurer has to be an active 3M club member. So we're going to need to have somebody step forward within the club who's an active 3M employee, step forward to be treasurer. And we've kind of talked it through at the board level. Some of the other clubs will kind of do a co-treasurer where Paula can help and do most of the work, but we do need active 3M employee listed on the account and things like that. So if you're interested, contact any of the board members. It's not a big commitment of time and effort, or I don't know if you want to say anything about it, Paula. It doesn't bog you down with a lot of activity.
No, not at all. Just reimbursing people for like food type things. And then Paul sends me checks for membership like once every 2 months, so like 6 times a year. And then I almost never go to Wells Fargo. I just have the app and I deposit electronically. It's always good so far.
And then it's just attending the board meetings and giving the status of what our account looks like. And then we do have, every quarter, the 3M Club gets sent the status of our account or whatever. So it's a little bit of work, and basic we're talking about an hour with the board meeting, an hour, and then maybe a few extra minutes if you average it out over the month, commitment a month. So it's a little commitment. But we do need to find a replacement with Paula leaving there.
I would offer if there's any 3M employees that just want to see what the reports look like and just know a little more, contact me. We can set up a little meeting, even on the Teams. I can just show you what it is and no strings attached. Don't like it, it's not for you, throw out the ball.
Okay. Chuck is our recording secretary here. Mike Griffin, who isn't here, he leads our MACSIG. Andrew joined us. So Andrew's our communication coordinator. My name's Tom Kreuzer. I'm the director at large. And this is from the last time we had a picnic out at, where was that? No. Yeah. That was right original. Yeah. If you are a member, old and new, you can pay your dues to Paul. Paul sends out when your membership is running out. So it's not like we do it January to December every year, but you will get a notification. Also a reminder, if you are retiring, like Paula, and I don't believe Paula has sent her change in email address. So she'll, when you retire or change email addresses, make sure you notify us because that's how the announcements and everything gets out. Suggestions for topics, you can email your ideas, talk to any of the board members, and we're always looking for people to volunteer to present on either hardware or software that you use. Could be something at work, could be something at home. We also have our monthly eBites newsletter, and you're welcome to write anything for that. Out on our website, we do record, like this meeting is being recorded, so if you miss one or want to revisit it, you can go out to the past meetings and recordings and get a handout or watch the recording out on YouTube. We have our deals sections, we have our monthly eBites newsletter, and the link to the site is here and in all the emails. Okay, let's get to our main topic. They say start out with a joke. So this is, excuse me, a joke that we've had before here, but I like it. Passwords are like underwear. Don't leave them lying around. Change them regularly and don't share them with anybody. Okay, so we'll get to our main topic, which is online security and passwords. Security must be a combination of safe computing practices and security products. No product can or ever will provide complete security. You need to be careful and aware of what you do. If you're not part of the solution, you are the problem and hackers will break into your accounts. Passkeys are starting to replace passwords, so we'll talk about those. The average person today, and this came from AARP, has 100 accounts and passwords to manage. And I usually get from people that I bring this fact up, they go, oh, I don't have, I've only got like 5 or 10. And I go, okay, let's start naming them. And by the time you start naming the Cub account and all these other various accounts, you end up with 100. Most of the people that I work with, and I work with quite a few people on a day-to-day basis and help out at a couple of different facilities in that, I would give them a failing grade of F for what they do today with their password. So don't feel that you're the only one who writes things down and on Post-it notes and has things around. There's a lot of people with bad password management. These are some interesting statistics in that this is what you know about security and passwords. You understand what good password behavior should look like. So 59% of us know a secure password is important. I would have expected that to be maybe 98%, but 59% at least to recognize that they're important. 91% understand the risk of reusing passwords. 2 out of 3 are fearful of password hacking. 75% consider themselves informed on password best practices, and 72% consider their password sufficient protection for their online information. This is what we think. What we actually do is, yet we continue to have bad practices. 41% of us choose a password that is easy to remember. You don't want a password that's easy to remember. That just means that a hacker or somebody else may be able to hack it. 61% use the same or similar passwords. And this, when broken down by age group, millennials do it 65% of the time. Gen X's do it 52% of the time, and baby boomers do it 45% of the time. You never want to reuse a password from one site or one app to another app. 55% do it even though they understand the risk. Strongest passwords, financial, we usually have that a little stronger than what we have our social media and shopping ones. You rely on personal information to create and remember your passwords. 47% of the people do that. That's a bad thing. That's a very bad thing. You don't want to be using information that a hacker can guess or get at. But people are afraid of forgetting their passwords. So more women do it than men. Then these are some of the passwords that people tend to use. Family names, your family, or initials, significant dates and numbers, pets, birthdays, hometown, school name, mascot. So we do bad things. Okay, why do you need a password manager? In the past, I used to talk about this stuff, and I'd recommend for people to use a password manager. Today, I say you must be using a password manager. It's not a recommendation, it's a must. Using other methods like a notebook to write things down, or Post-it notes, or even though 3M makes money on Post-it notes, that's not the type of money that 3M should be making there. Or some people will put them in spreadsheets and encrypt the spreadsheet or that, and that's the way they manage. Bad idea, bad idea. Napkins. A number of people, I work with them, and they have to either reset their password or do stuff. And they're writing it on a napkin or a little piece of paper, and 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, they've lost that password. So they're guaranteed to have to reset and do things with that password down the road. Okay, we'll talk about some advantages of using a password manager. The number one, you don't have to remember each password. So each one can, and these are the three things that every password should be. It should be unique, not used with another site or app. Long, use the maximum length that the system that you're connecting to supports, and usually a minimum 16 characters. Strong, meaning with random letters, numbers, and special characters. That's what makes for a good password. And believe you me, if you're writing them down and you're changing them yourself, you can't do that. Only a password manager can help you do this. Passwords should be generated for you by the password manager. People do a bad job of creating passwords. You want your password manager should make your passwords available on all your devices, your phones, your tablets, your laptops, your desktops, also available anywhere at any time. If I go overseas and I don't bring anything and I go into the business office at the hotel, I can log into a computer, I can log into my password manager, and I can function. I don't have to bring a notebook. I don't have to bring anything with me. These password managers can help you change your passwords and also track your old passwords. So if you want to know when's the last time I changed it or what was it, you can go in and look at the history there. You can document challenge questions and notes. So some of the financial institutions will ask you for what was the name of your favorite teacher, or what high school did you go to? Those challenge questions should be documented in there too, because one of my tips is your challenge question should never be accurate information. So when it asks you for what was your first car, I put in duck, D-U-C-K. Nobody trying to hack my account or reset my account is going to guess that duck is in for the first car that I had. Password managers, safer than storing accounts and passwords in the browser. Almost all the browsers now, as you're entering account information and passwords, will ask if you want to save that information. That information will be saved within the browser. Well, browsers aren't as secure and don't have the features and functions that a password manager has. So I don't recommend using a browser. And it's surprisingly easy for a hacker or somebody who gains access to your computer to get into where that information is stored in the browser and get the information out of there. So they're a no-no, don't do. Some more features. If you're looking to buy one or use one, cost can be a consideration there. There may be a cost per device. There may be a limited free version with ads or with limited features there. And then it's a matter of what devices or browser does it support. And we'll talk about some of these options a little later here. At a minimum, it should have automatic capture. The password manager should be able to capture or set up a username or password as you enter it. You go into a new account and log in, it'll ask to save that in the password manager. Automatic replay. Once it's in the system, as you go to the various sites, it should automatically fill in the information for you. So those are just the ease of use there. Another feature that you see in most password managers is web form fill. So it can fill in like your name, your address, your phone number, so that you don't have to keep entering it in each time. And it's got the correct information. It can, most of them retain the history of passwords in case you need an old password or just looking for the last time you changed it. Yeah, I haven't changed it in 5 years or 6 years. They can usually support multiple identities. So you may have multiple profiles or accounts, and you can select which one to use. I maintain my parents' accounts, so I have their passwords that I can get in. I also have the 3M Club. We have an account and password in there, and I have my own. Well, these facilitate me using all these different accounts and all these different ways there. They'll usually go through and do strength reports. They'll analyze the strength of your password and help you improve them. They'll also help in two-factor authentication, whether it's biometric, SMS, Google Authenticator, or something else. Application passwords. So does it support password storage for your apps on your phone or tablet? Most of them will let you import passwords. So when you're first starting out with a password manager, rather than having to enter everything in and set up those passwords, if you have them stored in your browser, it can pull them out of the browser, or if you used another package, you can bring them in from the other package there. The reverse of that is to export the data. Can the software export the data? So as an example, I back up my passwords, and the way that I back up my passwords is I export the data and I put it on a backup drive that I have. So you should have a backup there also. Secure sharing of passwords with friends and family, or doing messages or documents. Frequently you'll see that built into these password managers. Digital legacy, grant access to an inheritor in the event that something happens to you. You get run over by the express bus out here. Secure online file storage. You can save or share files or documents like a will, a passport, or other really highly confidential documents. Okay. Next we'll start talking about what I use, and what I use is a package called Bitwarden. I recommend the free version of Bitwarden, and this is the site. Anyone can go out there. You can store an unlimited number of passwords, and you can sync them across all your devices. In the past, I recommended LastPass, but then they started charging if you wanted to use it on a phone and a laptop, and this is the best free package and has a ton of features. Bitwarden offers native apps for Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, and iOS. So basically every operating system. Bitwarden supports extensions for Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Opera, and Safari. So basically all the important ones. Recently it added in the last year support for Passkeys, and we'll talk about Passkeys later. I mentioned here I exported my LastPass account and passwords and imported them into Bitwarden. No problem, all the information in under 2 minutes, and was set up to go. Bitwarden does have a premium version that if you want some additional features, costs $10 a year, provides a gigabyte of encrypted file storage, two-step login. So if the YubiKey is a USB security key, some financial sites require their own YubiKey or stuff like that to get in, but it supports all of the most popular security in that. Both health reports and emergency access if you have these features. If you do have all Apple devices, it's okay to use Apple Password. So Apple Password comes on the iPad, the iPhone, the Mac, and so it's out there, and is usable, and will sync between the various devices. But I really still recommend to people to use Bitwarden and not use Apple Password, because there's additional features and functions that Bitwarden provides. Plus, it's a case of if you do have some Apple devices and some Android and Windows, the Apple Password is only available on Apple devices. So the only reason to use Apple Password is if all you have is strictly Apple devices. Okay, let's do a quick demo here. And let me get over here. Where am I here? Let's go here. Okay, let me get my notes so I know. Okay, so I've opened up Chrome here. Let's get to a different window here. I've opened up Chrome, and I've installed Bitwarden on this machine in the browser. And Bitwarden is, you can see this little icon here. This is the Bitwarden icon. It's really small, probably have trouble seeing it, but there's a padlock and it's locked, meaning that if I click on it, it's locked. I can't get in. It's not going to do its function until I put in the password. For this demo, I'm using a test account. So if anyone's writing down passwords or trying to hack into accounts, this is not my information. This is just a test account that I set up for Bitwarden there. So you're not going to be hacking anything here. Let's see. And I have limited entries in my deal. In my actual account, I have over 100 accounts and passwords and multiple identities and things like that. Let's see. When you first install Bitwarden, you can import from those various sources, like I said. So if you have been storing them in your browser, shame on you, but you can import them, and then you can turn off that function in the browser so that it gets rid of all those, and you're just using Bitwarden there. So you can bring it in from there, or if you are using a different password manager, you can bring it in from a different password manager by doing usually that export and then import to bring things in. Let's see. Okay, let's go in here. And to get in here, if your device supports biometrics, the Face ID, fingerprint, stuff like that, you could log in using that. Otherwise, I log in using a master password. And this is the password that you do have to remember. You don't have to remember the password to any other site or any other account there. So let me go here. Okay, so now I've opened it up, and by default, this browser extension opens up in this little drop-down window here. If I want to make it its own separate window, I can pop it out, and if I want to use it in other applications or that, I can pop it out and pop it back in and do things there, but you do have options there. We'll talk about some of the options. We'll start with the generator. So I mentioned earlier, you should have the long, strong, and unique passwords. So there's a built-in generator where it can generate your passwords for you. You can tell it the length that you want it, whether you want upper, lower, numbers, special characters, minimums. So you can set all these. and it'll go through and generate you unique passwords here that hackers are never going to be able to decipher and use there. Okay. This send option in Bitwarden lets you send encrypted messages or share information with other people. And when it shares it with other people, it password protects it so that the other person on the other end does have to enter in a password. They don't have to have Bitwarden, but they are going to need the password that you... What's that?
How does it come to them? They don't have to.
I would suggest that you use a different method. So if you send it through an email, or if you send it through a text message, or you send it through a telephone call, the password, because this goes through its own deal. So a hacker wouldn't have gotten this link. You're just sending the password to unlock it there. And so even if somebody was monitoring your email, they wouldn't have the link to get into the secure encrypted system there. So you have that. The other setting down here is settings, and this is you have hundreds of different settings, and we'll talk about some of the settings that I recommend changing a little bit later. The main tab or the main area is this vault area. This vault area is what comes up when you've got hundreds of accounts or even 20, 30 accounts. You can search in here. So if I wanted Starbucks, I can start typing star, and there's Starbucks there. Or I organize them in folders, and you can set up as many folders with different names. These folders equate to my bookmarks and my other file folders on my system itself. So you can set up your folders and have your accounts organized that way. This type, mentioned it a little bit before in some of the features. You have different things that are stored in the password manager. You have login information that's used for logging in, account name and password and other stuff. You have card. This would be like for credit card license information. You can store that information in here. Identity. Well, let's go back here. Identity, where you can put in different addresses or identities that you have. This would be name, address, phone number, things like that. And then you have notes that you can put in, and this is for an additional security key. But let's take a look at the identity here. The identity, so you may have a 3M address and a home address. Well, you can put that stuff in here. Then when I get to a site, I can pick out which identity I want to use to fill in the form on the site. So put your information in, make this information then available consistently. You have email address, and there's even more fields. These are just for the demo. I just show a few of the different fields here and what's available. And the same is true, let's go back here to the credit card. So here's credit cards. Again, you can put in name, numbers. Oh, here's that number. Better write it down. 777-82332. 227, security code 333. So you can put information in there. And so you can put in like your credit limit or things like that in there, notes that if there's a URL to the card, you can put that in here, so you can store all that information in here. So let's take a look at a login here. Let's go to Gmail, I think. Let's go to Gmail here. So this is an example of the Gmail, and again, you have a lot of different fields that can be put in. It'll keep track of your passkeys. I mentioned this supports passkeys, and it'll tell you when it was created and registered into Bitwarden here. So you have that information. As far as generating, so you have passwords here. I can go in and I can generate a new one at any time, and if it's possible, if it knows how to do the change password for the site or the app that you're doing, it'll automatically do that. Otherwise, worst case, you have to copy the password here and do it manually, kind of do it manually there. But you do have options there. Yes.
Comment. Sometimes what I've encountered, I use LastPass. Sometimes I run into problems because some of the sites want to, after you change your password, to go back and then say what your old password was. So I try to make a habit of copying the old password, putting the notes, so I at least make sure I can find it.
Okay, you'll see this does have an item history. You can click on the links and you can see. LastPass, I'm not sure, may not.
I don't think you do that.
I'm not.
Seen it anyway.
But this, it's nice. It'll tell you when it was created, when it was last changed, and you can see the history of the passwords there. So it can be handy there. Okay. Also, when you're setting up the account or when it records that you're logging into the account for the first time, it'll store, let's go back here. It'll store in here the URL or the website, and you can have multiple URLs or websites for the account that you have. The important thing here is this is the trusted site that you go out to. So let's say this was your bank. This is the trusted site. You can use this to launch and get out to that site, and you're using the trusted site. Whereas if you've got an email that said, there's suspicious activity on your account, click on this link. You don't want to be clicking on those links. You want to click on this. Also, if I was using Bitwarden and I clicked on a bad link, let's say to US Bank, it's not going to autofill the fields on that bad US Bank link, that fake site out there. It'll only fill in information for the sites that you said are the trusted sites there. So that's a second way kind of to protect you from what's going on out there. So to get, for this demo, we'll go out to Starbucks and we'll log in. Now, I could have used a bookmark on my browser to go out, and then it would autofill. Or if I have Bitwarden up here, you'll see one of the options here is to launch the website Starbucks. So if I click on that, it launches the website for Starbucks. It'll automatically fill in the information. It's not clicking enter at this particular point because it's giving you an opportunity if you don't want to do this, or if you had multiple profiles, I could go up here. In this case, I've only got one profile for Starbucks. And, but if this was out to Gmail and I had one for the club and one for myself and another backup account or a dummy account, I'd see three there, or as many number of accounts that I have registered in Bitwarden, and I'd be able to choose which one to use.
But when you have multiple accounts like that, are they all under the same master password?
Yes, they're all under the same master password. And so you don't have to set up a separate one. I mentioned like for my parents or the 3M Club, I have that all under my own, even though this is a practice account or a dummy account that I've set up that is using the PC Club account. So I click, it logs me in. And this Bitwarden here, you can set how long it's timed out. If you do an inactivity where it'll lock and somebody won't be able to get in. Oh, yeah, somebody's.
I know it went late. From my back, but they tried. We lost the projector in the room.
Yeah, we lost the projector, so let's give it a second here.
Oh, we still have the other room. Like if it's, if you can record it, it's not, but
I don't know why it found out.
yeah. Tom, you haven't spoken to this yet, but I'm wondering about my ID for sites. Site password. I'm starting to see hundreds of IDs for all my logins. What would you recommend for IDs? Like if it's, if you can record it, it's not, but
I don't know why it found out.
yeah. Tom, you haven't spoken to this yet, but I'm wondering about my ID for sites. Site password. I'm starting to see hundreds of IDs for all my logins. What would you recommend for IDs? Rather than generic. Would that also be controlled by the order?
Yes, Bitwarden, good question. So Linda asked, what about IDs or account? Depending on what the site calls it there. Yeah, if you'll notice, like in Starbucks here, let me go into Starbucks. You have a username, and that's the ID. Now, a lot of people use their email address as their default username, but in a lot of sites, you can generate it. So you'll see, like here, I could go in and I could generate a random word, capital letters, just a random number. So I could make both the account and the password if I'm setting up a brand new account totally random, totally something that a hacker is not going to associate with me. But if you use your email password, you kind of associated it with you, and some sites won't let you use anything else. But you can store, so each account that you have, it can have its own ID or account along with its own ID and password. You can randomly generate it. You can let it default. You can use different things there. Okay. The nice thing about this, I mentioned the Bitwarden will work on all devices. I have an iPad, an Apple iPad, works fine on that. I have an Android phone, works fine on that. I have a laptop, I have a desktop. So any device, I can use it, and almost any of the major browsers, you'll have these extensions in to help you do it. There's also, I don't use it, but there's also available.
No. Yeah, but why did it die? It was working. But fully awake. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll continue on. Unfortunately, people in the room, you'll have to follow along on the handout since we won't have it up on the screen there. But we're through most of it. We'll get to the Bitwarden changes that I recommend. There's this vault timeout when it locks. I recommend changing that to 30 minutes. If it's too short, you're finding that you have to re-enter in your master password, or it's locked when you want to use it. So I go 30 minutes. I recommend turning on the unlock with biometrics on your phone or tablet where you do have biometric capability. The clear clipboard, if you're copying stuff into the clipboard and then pasting it in, that way to enter in passwords. There's an option to set the clear clipboard for how many minutes when it wipes it out. So if you were using like a public machine, you wouldn't want your password to remain in the clipboard for the next person that might come up to the computer there. And then this is the autofill on page load. You can check that so that it automatically does it. Okay, next we'll talk about passkeys and why you need them. A passkey is a new way to sign in that works without passwords. So passkeys are not passcodes. People get confused. They think passcodes are the same thing as a passkey. A passcode is like a 4-digit or a 7-digit. Who's ever got that on? You may have to mute or. Okay. So a passcode is different than a passkey. The passcodes are what you used to get into your phones, a 4-digit code or a 7-digit code, or now it can be numbers and letters. A passkey is completely different than that. And we'll talk about the differences here a little bit. It uses biometric information, face ID, fingerprint, gesture, PIN code, security, and is set up on an individual device. I've got a connection over here. It's a standard promoted by Google, Apple, Microsoft, and the World Wide Web Consortium. So it was a standard that all the major vendors got together and said, we have a problem with passwords. We have to solve this on all of our platforms. So they all got together and created this standard. The standard is built into the operating systems and it's built into the browsers. So this isn't just like a password that you copy and paste or do anything. It's built into the fundamentals of the operating system. A passkey consists of 2 cryptographic keys. A public key. Hey, we've got it back. Thank you, Paula.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you did.
You wiggled it or whatever. We just won't wiggle it again. We've got our display back here. So a passkey consists of the 2 cryptographic keys, a public key that's registered and stored at the online service or app, and the private key that's stored on the device, such as your smartphone, tablet, or computer. So this is a little example here showing that there's 2 parts to get into any account or any service. You need both parts. So it's kind of like think of it as a safety deposit box at a bank. You have 1 key, your bank has 1 key. If a bank robber breaks into the bank and holds a gun up to the bank's head and says, I want to get into all these safety deposit boxes, they say, we can't get in there because we don't have the keys. They need the people's keys to get in there. They have their key, but they don't have the other key. So 1 key alone does not get you into the security. So then, being that there's 2 keys, 1 at the service and 1 on your device there, when there is a data breach, because we have data breaches occurring all the time, and the hackers get their hands on the website's public key, the user's account is safe and locked because the hackers don't have access to the private key on the user's device. This is a quick video. Well, it's a minute-long video. We'll see if we can play that here.
Since the beginning, passwords have always been the protective gateway to the things you cherish.
I don't know if
and
we're
your
going to
online
hear it,
account
Don.
security. But they're frustrating to create, hard to remember, and are easily hacked. In pursuit of a safe and secure passwordless
You can read the
future,
subtitles
Google,
there.
alongside the FIDO Alliance,
So they're
rolling out
basically
passkeys
saying it's
to
the
simplify
passkeys
signing
to
across
simplify the login.
Passkeys offer the strongest
Passkeys offer the strongest security that you can get with the convenience of
So signing in
unlocking.
is as easy as
It's easy to sign
in.
in.
Scanning your
If you have
fingerprint.
biometrics on the device, you
And
use
because they use
biometrics.
cutting-edge
Your
cryptography to create
in.
Key that is unique between
Hackers
you and
can't do
specific
anything
Apple
with
website.
it, so it
They can't be
prevents
stolen or phished by
this
hackers
data
the way
breaches
that
and
passwords
hackers
can.
and phishing
Google is committed
that's
to
out
making
there.
the internet safe for everyone, and passkeys are the simplest and most secure way to sign in across
So they're
all
the
your
simplest,
devices
most
and
secure way to
platforms.
log in. And we'll talk some more about that. Pause this or cancel that. Passkeys can also help you get around the issue of having to synchronize passwords between your devices. So you can either set up a passkey individually for a device, or you can share them amongst multiple devices. Say you normally log into your Google account using your smartphone, but you want to log in using a laptop. No problem. Even if the passkey isn't synchronized on the laptop, so you've done nothing with this laptop. As long as the smartphone is within Bluetooth range of the laptop, there's a mechanism for the smartphone to communicate with the laptop to give it the permission to let you connect to your account there. What's even better is the passkey isn't transferred between the smartphone and the laptop, but after confirming the logon, the user instead gets the opportunity to create a new passkey if they want for that laptop, if they want to use it in the future without using their phone to get them in. No biometric information leaves your device, so fingerprints, face, anything like that that you may have used to unlock it is never passed to the service that you're connecting to, so there's no chance that a hacker can get that information. In order to use it, because this is relatively new, you do have to have new versions of the operating system. Windows 10 and above, Mac OS Ventura, Chrome OS 109, iOS 16, Android 9, because that's when it was introduced into the basics of the operating system. You also need current versions of the browsers to use this. There's a number of well-known websites and apps that currently support passkeys, like Adobe, Amazon, Google, GitHub, PayPal, TikTok. Most banks and most financial institutions support passkeys because they see the security that's built into this. If you're interested in what companies do support it currently, this is a link out to a site, and there's probably 1,000 entries out here of sites that support, excuse me, that support passkeys. Let's go back here. Best way to experiment with how they work is, this is a little demo that Google set up. I believe it was Google, but you can go out there and even if you've never created a passkey before, this enables you to create a passkey and see how the logins and things work there. If you're ready to take the plunge, a great place to start is by securing your Google account with a passkey. Just because you use a passkey on one device doesn't mean that you immediately have to change the other device. So if you're using a password on your other device, you can continue to use a password on your other device, but at some point you should start using passkey on all of your devices there. We're a long way from the death of passwords, so not every site supports it, but convert to passkeys where you can to get them to work. Bitwarden, that we talked about as a password manager, also supports passkeys. And Apple Password also supports passkeys. So if you're using either one of those, that can store your passkeys and also synchronize them between devices if you need that. And there's some information out on the website for Bitwarden on the passkeys here. And we won't go into that, but if you're interested in some of the details of how some of that works, you can take a look out there. Let's see. Some tips to keep you safe at home. Let's quickly go through. Never reuse passwords between sites and accounts. Let the password manager generate your unique, long, and strong passwords. Change your passwords often, especially your financial banks. If you have passkeys, you don't ever have to change them again or reset anything because it isn't a password. That's one of the advantages of Passkeys. Two-factor authentication, use that where possible. If you're not using Passkeys, act immediately when notified of a data breach and change your password. These are a couple of sites I recommend if you want to see if your email account or password has been exposed on the dark web. You can go out to these different sites and you can see. Currently, I think Have I Been Pawned? There's over 10 billion accounts out there. And if you're familiar, there's 8 billion people in the world. So almost everybody's account is out there and has been breached, and a password has been breached. Use credit monitoring to alert you of your finances. Back up your data. And that's mainly for ransomware and stuff like that. If you have it backed up, you don't have to pay a penny. If you don't, you got problems. Never download software files from questionable sites or links outside of Google Pay or Apple Pay Store. Install and update an antivirus. For Windows, you can be using the Microsoft antivirus is fine. For Android devices, PC Magazine recommends Avast, Malwarebytes, or Bitdefender. Personally, I don't use an antivirus on my phone because I like my phone to be as fast as possible and not drain the battery. And unfortunately, these antiviruses will do both those things. Be wary of downloading any games or playing games on the internet. A lot of them are loaded with viruses. Peer-to-peer clients, don't install those, or don't let your kids install them. If they're looking to share videos, illegal videos or illegal music or things like that, those are using peer-to-peer clients that connect and move files back and forth. Phishing tries to get you to click on something and capture your information, like Social Security, credit card, bank, and PINs. There's an estimated 1.4 million websites are created new every month to trick people. So as fast as ones are brought down to stop hackers, new ones are created. Be suspicious of any email that asks for sensitive personal information, even if the sender seems familiar. Call a phone number from another source to verify, or use a password manager that has your valid URL and is only going to fill in the information on a valid URL. And that's what I mentioned here. Password managers will only autofill on authorized URLs or sites and not on fake sites. If you use a public PC, log off when you're finished and close the browser completely. For account challenge questions, enter false info, things like birthday, sport, teacher, city, street, etc. I talked about that, I think, before we started. First car, put in frog. No hacker is ever going to guess that. They're not going to be able to look out on your Facebook account or your social media account and see frog as your first car that you owned. And you can document these challenge questions in your password manager. When you friend or like somebody on Facebook, you're giving them permission to some of your personal information and messages. Enter false info or hide your personal information on these different social media accounts. Add an entry in Bitwarden itself or Bitwarden. So if you forget your password, you can use the biometrics of your phone, get in, and you can see what your password is for Bitwarden. For home wireless security, see the past meetings. If you are going to use Apple passwords, what you want to do is you want to enable Apple iCloud Keychain, and the Apple iCloud Keychain will encrypt and sync from your different devices. So you want to make sure that's on. If you use Apple Password will work fine on Sierra. But if you want to use Chrome as your default browser on your Mac devices or your Apple devices, you'll want to download the Chrome-based browser plugin extension that'll give you the autofill and the different capabilities. I mentioned some additional links for PC Magazine and CNET articles on how to safeguard yourself. And I like this little comic here. The hacker, I have all your passwords. And Kermit is saying, oh my God, thank you. What are they? So now you don't have to worry and look like this guy with your passwords and passkeys there. Okay, we got through it. I'll take any questions or comments at this time. Let me, in the chat, let me see here. First, I'm going to stop sharing here just to turn on my camera, and we'll go to the chat. Okay, let's see here. Okay, how does the app how does the app access get set up for each electronic device? You install the app just like anything else on the device. When you install it, then you put in the master password, and then it starts syncing the information there. Or can it only be on one device? You can put it on as many devices as you want. That's why most of us have multiple devices, and you do want to have it on all your devices. Okay. Is the Bitwarden app tied to a browser or to a device? Bitwarden is wherever you want to install it. So if you install an extension in a browser, then it's installed in the browser. If you want it as a separate Windows app, you can download the Windows app and run it that way. So it's however you choose to run it there. Let's see. That was part. Jim answers there. Thanks, Jim. I can just watch the video. Let's see. Why is keep me signed in checked? Is that safe? Keep me signed in. That goes with that timeout feature. So you don't. Personally, I don't want to have to put in the master password each time I want to use a password there. So I let the Bitwarden keep me logged in there, and don't log me out for 30 minutes. You can choose to set it to whatever you want. If you want to put in the master password each time, you can choose to put in the master password each time. I'm trying to protect myself, let's say this laptop that I have, from somebody stealing my laptop and gaining access to all my accounts. Well, if they steal my laptop, my machine has been off or disconnected from the internet, or the browser isn't there. So in order to get to Bitwarden, they have to log in, and they'd have to know my master password, so they wouldn't get in. Please talk about the best way to download a copy of all the Bitwarden passwords. All you do is go into Bitwarden and you do an export. And that'll export, download a file. I'd recommend that you not keep it on your machine that's connected to the internet. You want to store that on a flash drive or an external drive that is not connected to your machine all the time. There's different strategies on where you want to store it or how you want to store it, but when you download it, Bitwarden will download it in a CVS format, which can be brought into any spreadsheet package, and you'll have rows and columns of all that different information that you've stored in Bitwarden there. So and if you do have to go to another package, let's say Bitwarden for some reason goes out of business and XYZ is now the password manager that you want to go to, you just go to usually the new package and you do an import. So the format that they put it in is in such a format that can be imported into other password managers.
What happens if Bitwarden decides today to go down? How do I put something from there?
The question was, what happens if Bitwarden ceases to exist there? That's the reason I back up my password. So if I back it up once a month, I'm not backing it up every day, but once a month, I do back it up, and at most I wouldn't have passwords that I may have changed or set up in the last month. But you do want to have a backup. And it's no different today than 99% of the people. I go to them and I say, okay, we have to make a change to your computer. You have to log into your Apple ID. What's your password? People go, beats me. I don't know. I wrote it down on a piece of paper several years ago, and I haven't needed it since. You go through the reset process and you reset a password. Now, if you had 100 passwords to reset, it's going to take you a little bit of time there, but that's kind of the way it goes there. Okay, scratch. Can the same passkey be used for multiple applications? No. Passkey is assigned to a site. So you have that public key and you have that private key. That public key for me getting into site A cannot be used in site B. And so I'd have to set up a different passkey for that site, or for a bank, a U.S. bank or whatever. So each site or facility, that's where you'd connect into. Can passkeys be changed? Good question. Passkeys cannot be changed. Don't have to be changed because they aren't passwords. Passwords have to be changed. Passwords have problems, but passkeys, if you want to, I can delete a passkey and I could create a new one, but I don't have to do that because they aren't passwords. If you have your passwords in Bitwarden, does Bitwarden have an option to change a site to using passkeys? Yes. So if I log in to Gmail, and before I was logging in with a password, and now I choose to set up passkeys, it will automatically ask to store it in Bitwarden. So I have the option of storing my passkey in Bitwarden, or if I don't, I can just leave it on the computer, but I choose to store it in Bitwarden, and then it's automatically stored. So it's constantly looking at what you're doing, what sites you're going out to, what you're setting up. What happens if you're using your phone for passkeys and your phone dies, gets lost, or stolen? Again, if your phone gets lost or stolen, nobody's going to be able to break into Bitwarden. But if that's where your information is, and let's say you're over in Europe, okay, what's your solution? Again, kind of like I said, I can go to the business center at the hotel. I can log into my Bitwarden on that machine, on any machine in the world. I can log into Bitwarden if I know my master password. So I can log in to my master password. I can get into Bitwarden and I can look up any password that I want there. So in that scenario, if somebody stole my phone, chances are over there I'd go to the AT&T or the T-Mobile or Verizon, and I'd get a new phone, and I would set up Bitwarden on that new phone, and I'd be up and running in less than an hour with Bitwarden. So you can be up and going there. Yes, if you have biometrics turned on your phone, they're not going to be able to get in unless they obviously have access there. If I use Passkey and that covers all my sites and devices, do I still need a password manager like Bitwarden? Well, again, Bitwarden is handling the synchronization of the devices and also giving me additional capabilities for sending encrypted messages, for storing things. Passwords aren't going to go away in a year or 2 years. Some sites it's going to take a long time to go away there. So they're going to be around quite a while there. But certainly for your banks and financial institutions, you'd want to make them as secure as possible. And use passkeys as soon as possible there. Okay? Yeah, the question was if you turn in your phone or laptop or any device and now have a new one, well, what you can do with the passkeys using Bitwarden is I can share that passkey to multiple devices. You don't have to. You can create a unique passkey for every single device. I tend to share them with my other devices there. So it's up to you whether you want to create a unique private passkey for every single device that you have. But you can create one passkey on your phone and share it with your laptop, your desktop, any number of other devices, or other family members for that matter. Can you upload a list of sites, IDs, and can you upload a list of sites, IDs, and passwords?
So the keyword there is upload. So if I have a list of 10 passwords that I want to use, everything from Shutterfly to Spotify, and I have like the sites in one column, IDs in another column, and passwords in another?
Yeah, the question was if I want to, you've either got them in a spreadsheet already or you want to put them in a spreadsheet and you want to upload them that way instead of individually setting up an item. Yes, you can do that. The easiest way to do that is create one entry out on Bitwarden and do an export. That'll export to a CVS file. Bring that into Excel. You'll have the correct names for the column headings, and then you can add in as many entries as you want. Fill in as much information as you have, import that in, and it'll be imported in. So yes, you can do that. You can't do it through the app, but you can do it through some of the extensions. But you're right, the importing and exporting, I don't believe on the Apple app and the Android app don't let you export in that.
I would definitely be doing that on the web.
Let's see.
I mean, some people still have some of that stuff in the spreadsheet, besides all the morning comments. But maybe now they're ready to
Okay, then the question is, why have multiple identities in Bitwarden? Again, if you have multiple family members, you want to store them all in there. I have multiple accounts in Gmail. I have the PC Club account in Gmail. I have my parents' accounts in Gmail. So when I go out to Gmail, I can easily switch back and forth between any of those accounts, and all the information, the password and the account information is stored there. And the same is true of bank accounts or that. The same thing. I have, if I, Ally, I have CDs out there, and my dad has CDs out there. Well, when I go out to the Ally site, I can choose, do I want to log in as my dad or do I want to log in as myself? And so the multiple identities can be very helpful. And especially if you've got kids, you usually want to be monitoring the kids. So you may have let's say a Facebook account, and you've got your kids' Facebook account so that at any time you can log in and monitor. Okay, other questions, comments? Yes?
Have you been out to the Social Security site lately?
Yes, I have.
And it's got a really interesting requirement now. It requires you to use login.gov.
ID me, or you have several.
You to take a picture of your license and a picture of your face. And so do you think that is going to be used more and more for setting up security for sites?
The implementation that the Social Security took, and if you're a veteran, you also have been exposed to that.
Which is interesting because I already had the login ID because I'm a veteran.
Except that's a different system.
It's a different system. So this was something in addition to what I already set up.
Yeah. the government is obviously trying to make their systems a little more flexible and to verify. And some of the verifying of stuff now is they've kind of pushed this off to third-party vendors, and the third-party vendors are saying, well, you have to have a driver's license,
Right.
An active driver's license, you have to have different things.
Both sides.
And
the picture has to match.
So
the picture is on your driver's license, and first time through it didn't.
long term, I would hope that systems like Social Security or the VA would update themselves to use more current technology, the passkeys, like passkeys. But even the passkeys, first you have to verify that the person setting it up is the person that you think it is, and that's $1 million question in the industry, because you also have in the industry, you have there being a controversy about, let's say, social media sites. I want it limited to people 16 years or older. Well, how do I determine that the person logging in is 16 years or older? Currently today, all they can do is pop up a question that says, are you older than 16? And you check it. Well, they can't. So all of these things are going to be changing as technology changes. It's just that none of it's going to happen immediately. So the best advice I can give there is put your information in here. I use login ID with Bitwarden, and so it works with any of the password managers.
Once you get it set up.
And in fact, my initial problem with it was like Chuck said, the VA and the VA first started it, and you'd go out to the site and it gave you the 3 options of how to log in, and I could never remember what I set up. So then I started using links in Bitwarden to automatically fill it in, so that I didn't have to remember that, oh, I set up a ID me and not a login ID. So you can keep track of that stuff in Bitwarden also.
Hey, Tom,
Yes.
I'm a little bit confused about passkey. You have to have a separate passkey word for like Wells Fargo versus U.S. Bank versus. And then what's the difference between that and current password?
Well, you don't have. So for each of those, you have a separate pass key, and the pass key is made up of the public key that U.S. Bank has, that Wells Fargo has, that Fidelity has, and then you have a key that's locally on your device or that you're syncing with your devices. So you'd have a separate one for private key and a separate public key for each of those sites that you're going out to.
But for each of the sites you go to, your public key is different for each of those.
Yes. And the public key on Wells Fargo is not shared to eBay, and it's not shared to Gmail or anybody else there.
So the passkey, like say at Wells Fargo, when you want to go from password to passkey, is it there on that site that they will give you the option to change?
Yes, they will, and the prompts. You've probably seen prompts in the last year from various sites telling you convert to passkey. Most people have said later. I'll do it later. But you can go into their security and you can set up a passkey. So like eBay or Gmail or that. When you log on there, you'll log into your account. Then go to your settings for your account, and then within the settings, there's an option to set up a passkey.
But you can continue to use the passkey.
You don't have to change all your devices at one time. I can have one device using a passkey getting into Gmail, and I can have my phone not using a passkey and still using a password to get into Gmail. So but I wouldn't recommend it. You should.
Number one. Number two, that won't work if you've got an iPhone and a Mac. Because it wants it the
It wants it to sync by default, and you should be syncing to take advantage. There'd be no reason not to take advantage and to continue to use it. But let's say the scenario that we were talking about earlier is I have a passkey that's on this laptop. This laptop gets run over, and I have to buy a new laptop. How do I set up a new laptop? Well, I'd go out to Gmail and I'd log in using my password, and then I'd set up a passcode for this device here. If I wasn't going to use the shared one that I had in Bitwarden. So you do have
but if you do have a passkey, it never prompts you for a password. But you could use that password.
Yeah. So
if you don't have a password.
Yeah, so here I am in Gmail here for the PC Club account. What I'm going to do here is let's sign out. So now I've signed out on Google. I'm no longer signed in. This is what you do to get in using your passkey. I go in to sign in again. It's saying here, verify it's you. So Google gives you several ways. Now I know I have a passkey, and in fact, Bitwarden is saying, you've got one passkey for this. I go up here, and it will, excuse me here. I have to verify it's me. I have to get to this next screen here. And see, it said, log in with this passkey that Bitwarden already has. Verifying it's me, I'm in. Didn't have to put in a password. Now I did have to have Bitwarden unlocked up here. That's where it said, yeah, you already have a passkey for it. I'm automatically going to feed it to Google, and I'm going to get you in. I didn't have to enter in anything. I didn't have to do two-factor authentication. I didn't have to do anything there. No, I believe Google did that for a short period of time where they were prompting people to start using passkeys. When you said no, later, you don't get it. But if you go into your account, so if I go in here and manage my Google account, now in here, this is where I can go to security, and this is where you can see where there's your passkey and security. I have 3 passkeys for this account that is out here. But you can set up a brand new one. You can do whatever there. So you can go into your account and you can set it up there. Okay. Any other question? I know we've gone over, but good questions there.
We share a desktop. Of course, when I go to log in and see my face and my side in, John goes to see it and is that one device when you have passkey for each of us, or just one device or one passkey for that?
Good question. If we have multiple people using, I'll repeat it in case people didn't hear it online. If we have multiple people using the same device, do I need to have multiple passkeys, or can we share? And if you're not using, if you weren't using Bitwarden, you'd have to have a separate passkey for each device and for each person. If you're using a password manager, you could have one password manager that you're using for multiple people. Just like I do things as a PC club, but I also do things as Tom Kreuzer, and as John Kreuzer, my dad. So it's up to you how you want to set it up. You can set it up either way and share things, or you can make it totally separate, and each one needs its own information.
Is there one passkey when you bought it that already installed on your device? Then when you go up to the site to get that, yes, I want a passkey, and then link up to that passkey that's already on
If you weren't using a password manager, that's the way that it would work. It would stay on that device. It doesn't get to your phone automatically. It doesn't get to another account automatically. If you use a password manager, then you can choose how you want, if you want to share it, if you want to create a new one, or you don't want to create a new one. It's up to you, if you want multiple passkeys or use one and share it amongst multiple people and amongst multiple devices. Okay?